Hi everyone, my name is Christelle Gambula. I'm Senior Solutions Architect at Amazon Ads, and in today's video, I'm going to introduce you to Amazon Ads MCP Server, what it is, how it works, and how to connect it to your AI agents. Here's the agenda. Let's start with the overview. We are in an era where AI agents can help us work faster and smarter. But here's the challenge. Amazon Ads has hundreds of API endpoints spanning across campaign management, reporting, audience management, Amazon Marketing Cloud, and more. If you are building AI agents that needs to interact with these APIs, you have to build custom integrations for each one, and that doesn't scale. That doesn't scale in engineering effort. Every endpoint requires its own mapping and logic. It doesn't scale in maintenance. Every time we release a new feature or update an API, you need to update your integration, and it doesn't scale in time to value. The more endpoints you need, the longer it takes before your agent can actually do something. So we ask ourselves, what if there was a simple way to connect your AI agents to Amazon Ads? That's where Model Context Protocol, or MCP, comes in. MCP is an open source standard that creates a single connections layer between your AI agents and your data sources. Here in this diagram, we have Amazon Ads signals on the left side, the Amazon Ads MCP server in the middle, powered by the Amazon Ads APIs, and on the right side, the AI agent. So instead of integrating directly with hundreds of API endpoints, you connect once through the MCP server and get access to Amazon Ads signals. So here's what the Amazon Ads MCP server provides you. You get an standardized way to connect your AI agent without manual API mapping. Second, you can turn simple prompt into powerful actions. And third, your agent accesses smart context automatically, meaning Amazon Ads hosts and maintains the MCP server with pre-built capabilities that provides the right context at the right time. Now, let's look at the primitives, which are the building blocks that power the MCP server. The MCP server translates Amazon Ads API functionalities into three types of primitives. I like to think of this using a kitchen analogy. First, you have tools. Think of these as individual ingredients. Each tool maps to a specific Amazon Ads action, like adjusting a budget or pulling a report. We have tools covering campaign management, reporting, and more. Next, you have advanced tools. These are like the pre-prepared dishes. They are pre-built orchestration that coordinate multiple API calls behind the scenes. So with one prompt, your agent can execute a multi-step workflow, like creating an end-to-end campaign without having to build that orchestration logic yourself. And finally, you have skills. Think of this as the recipe. Skills are step-by-step instructions that guide your agent through complex workflow, including human approval checkpoints along the way. They incorporate Amazon Ads best practices and ensure your agent knows exactly which tools to call and in what order. Now, let's bring to life with some use cases. At the simplest level, you can push updates to campaign, like adjusting bid or budget. You can generate performance report just by asking, show me performance by campaign for the last 7 days. You can also leverage AMC tools directly from the Amazon Ads MCP server by generating workflow, running queries, or pulling the reports, all through natural language. And where things get really powerful is with the advanced workflows. For example, you can create and launch a campaign in one prompt. Create a sponsor product campaign in the US and in Canada for this ASIN with a $20 budget. Behind the scenes, the MCP server coordinates the campaign creation, the ad group, the ad creation, all in one prompt. And one important note here is that campaign created through the MCP server come up in a paused state by default. And that's an additional guardrail so you can review everything before it goes live. Now, let's talk about what you need to get started. Getting connected is straightforward. There are more or less 4 steps. First, you will need the Amazon Ads API credentials and generate an access token. This is the same overflow you would use for any Amazon Ads API integration. Second, you need to create a configuration file pointing to the MCP server URL. There are 3 regional URLs, one for North America, one for EU, Europe, and one for Far East APAC. We recommend using the region where you are located. Third, you need to choose your account context mode. Dynamic mode is the default. The agent will ask for account identifiers as needed during the conversation, while fixed mode sets account identifiers as static headers, which is useful if your agent always operates on the same account. And one important note here is that for AMC tools and skills, we currently support dynamic mode only. And fourth, you need to add the required headers into the configuration file. And depending which tool you are using, you will need to include the access token as part of the header. All right, let's move to the demo. Before I jumped into the terminal, let me orient you with this architecture diagram of what this demo entails. On the left side, that's you, your terminal, where you will run a couple of scripts, and your MCP client, whether that's Cloud Desktop or Kiro, that will be the tool you will use to interact with the server using natural language. And in the middle is the Amazon Ads MCP server. This handles 3 things: the authentication, whether you are using standard OAuth 2.0 flow or via PKCE, which stands for Proof Key for Code Exchange. This is a security extension for the OAuth 2.0 authorization code flow. Then we have your configuration file that defines how you connect. And then you have inside that file your account context mode, whether that's dynamic or fixed. And on the right side are the Amazon Ads APIs. We will interact with the advertiser account, the AMC account API, as well as the AMC instances and the AMC workflow. And we will also interact with the Unified Campaign Management API. But all the endpoints your agent will interact with will happen through the MCP server layer. Now let's switch over to my terminal. I'm using Kiro as my coding assistant and IDE platform, and I'm going to show you 2 things. First, how to set up and use the MCP tools to interact with Amazon Ads. And second, how to use skills for more complex workflow, like creating a DSP campaign. But first, let's get authenticated. I will run an authentication script which handles the OAuth flow. It will get me an authorization code, which I will exchange for an access token. But first, let's look at that file. Here we go. I will first generate and open the authorization URL, then get the code and exchange it for the access and refresh token. Let's do that. Here, a pop-up just opened. I authorize the app, and I'm getting the code here to exchange it. And here we go. I have my access token and my refresh token. Now, quick tip. If you are using Cloud Code, you don't need to manage access token in the configuration file at all. And André will show you how.
Hello, I'm going to show you how you can use OAuth to connect to the Amazon Ads MCP server and to simplify this authentication flow. Currently, when you connect to the Ads MCP server, you need to provide this header, authorization header, but which is not very convenient because you need to make sure that your access token is up to date and you need to keep refreshing it. But instead of doing that, there is a different way when you can use, basically use configuration like this. You can add an MCP server using this command that I'll share separately. Now, if you look at the Cloud.json at this configuration, we will see that there's no authorization header here, right? But we have this additional section, additional auth parameters. And for client ID, you need to use the same client ID as here. And if you do this, you should be able to now use the following approach. When I go to Claude, I can, first of all, I need to check my MCP servers, and you see that currently it says failed for Amazon Ads MCP. And if I check, I'll see that it's not authenticated, so I can click Authenticate. As a result, it will bring me to this page. And now I have used my test TCP account. I need to sign in. I click Continue, then I logged in, enter my password, and that's it.
Now, back to Kiro. Before connecting to the MCP server, I need to retrieve a few identifiers that I will use in my request. So whether I'm managing campaigns or working with AMC tools, I will need those identifiers. So let me grab those quickly. And first, I will get the profile IDs and advertiser IDs, which are the identifiers tied to my API calls when calling for specific advertising accounts. Here as well, let me show you how this script looks like. Getting the refresh token, and here the APIs that I will call to retrieve both profile ID and my advertiser ID. Now let me run the script. Here we go. And the test accounts I will use for testing is that one. Now let me grab my AMC account details. And for this, I will also run a script. But first, let's have a look at the file. Here we go. I'm also doing a get API call to the AMC account API. Now let me run the script. And here we go. These are the AMC account I have access to. And for the purpose of this demo, I will use AMC demo account. That one. And finally, we also need the AMC instance ID, which tells the MCP server which AMC instance to query against. And so here as well, I will run a script. And now let me run this script. And here we go. I have retrieved my instance ID. Right, now let me show you the MCP configuration file where you will see the two server configuration. And the first one, Amazon Ads MCP fixed, use the fixed account context mode where you can see the account identifiers are set as static headers. And this is great when you want your agent to always operate on the same account. And also if you want the agent to behave in a similar way as you would use our standard Amazon Ads APIs. The second configuration is the dynamic account context mode, and this is the mode by default. Here, there is no hard-coded account identifiers. Instead, the LLM will ask you to provide the account identifiers as needed during the conversation. This gives you more flexibility, especially when managing multiple accounts. And remember, for AMC tools and skills, you require to use the dynamic mode. Now, let me refresh the token and enable the MCP server. And for that, I will also run a script. And here we go. My two configurations are now enabled, and I can test and use the MCP server. Now, let's interact with the AMC tools, but first, let's see what tools I have access to. For that, I will ask to list the AMC tools I have access to. All right, so these are the tools. I can get workflows, create new workflows, check the status, and download my workflows, and more. But first, let's have a look at what this schema looks like. And here we go. I have set the AMC instance ID, the entity ID, which corresponds to the AMC account ID, as well as the marketplace, which is the encrypted one for US. Now, let me test this and ask to list the last 5 workflow IDs with their name, either is one. All right, so here are my top 5 workflow IDs, or the latest workflow ID. Let me execute one of them. All right, so I'm getting the workflow ID as well as this status. The execution is now succeeded. And here's the file. Now, let's move to something more advanced, the skills. The skills are perfect for complex multi-steps workflow where you want the agent to follow best practices and include human approval checkpoints. And so for this demo, I will show you how to use a skill to create a Performance Plus campaign. But first, let's see what skills are available. And similar to the previous actions, I will also run some script. But first, let's have a look at the skills script. So getting the access token, and here requesting that API call. And let me run this script to see the skills that I have access to. Here we go. I have skills to create manager accounts and link advertiser accounts to it. I have skills for Performance Plus and Brand Plus campaign creation, which I am the most interested in. Next, let's download those skills. And here we go. Now in Kiro, I can simply reference the skills in my prompt and what I want it to do. So for the purpose of this demo, I want to use the campaign creation skills to create a DSP Performance Plus campaign for remarketing my woman shirt, ASIN specified here in Canada. And I want it to run from October 1st to December 26th with $100 or 100 Canadian dollars budget, targeting display inventory. And I want it to use a creative, responsive e-commerce. So you can watch what's happened. The agent picks the skills and follow the step-by-step instructions and starts walking through the entire workflow. It asked me to confirm which account it was, as well as the ASIN. And now it starts to create a campaign. So this is a human in the loop workflow that I mentioned earlier, and the skills ensures that you are reviewing and approving before any action is taken. And here you go. The agent follow the entire campaign creation workflow, calling the right tools in the right orders with approval at each critical step. Now it's asking me about activations, and the campaign cannot be activated because of billing or setup issues, which is expected because I'm using a test account. So I'm not going to activate that campaign. But this is the right example to show you the power of the skill, how structured it is, best practices workflow executed, also all of that through natural language. Thanks for watching along. I really encourage you to explore our advanced tool centers to get access to the Ads MCP server documentation, connect your agent, and start building. For now, let's see you in the next one. Happy advertising. Bye.